Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the TV podcast, the DC TV podcast from Multiverse
Oh,
TV.
1 week off. That's it.
It was your fault
That's
though,
all,
so
that's all it takes.
so it all
Well, no, it wasn't really my fault.
all feeds back to you. Yes.
How,
So
how is it my fault?
shut up. Look, we are a DC TV podcast. We talk about DC shows every week. You got your Supergirl, you got your Flash, you got your Black Lightning, you got your Arrow, and you got your Doom Patrol right now from DC Universe. And we have 2 episodes of Doom Patrol this week because we did skip last week. And luckily, because this is the thing, Carl was on vacation, and we planned. He got back, for the weekend, and we planned on trying doing a small episode with last week's Doom Patrol on it. But things got too tight. But because it was only just the Doom Patrol, it was very easy to just say, we'll just let that roll into the next episode, and we'll do episodes 2 and 3 of Doom Patrol together. So that's what's happening. You're getting 2 Doom Patrols and the other 4 shows that were new this week. So that is what's going to happen on this week's episode. We are a day later than normal, though, which means episode 4 of Doom Patrol did go up today. So we realised this. We realised that we're always kind of a week behind on Doom Patrol. It's the way it has to be, unfortunately. We've tried to change it. We have. It's just, there's nothing else that fits. Right, cat, we doing? Okay, so that is what we're going to do. That'll be the shows, that'll be the reviews we discuss over the course of the episode. We have news first, though.
Monumental news.
One thing in particular which stuck out. Maybe it's not that big. Maybe it's quite small. Maybe it'll be inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Arrow is ending.
I felt my liver do a somersault then. Even though I knew this news already.
You know that scene in Die Hard where Hans Gruber finally gets the vault open and Ode to Joy starts playing?
Yeah.
That's what this felt like. When I read that headline, I could feel the world moving in slow motion. I could hear Ode to Joy playing.
Do you know what? Joy actually interests me about this news. Rather than just celebrating, I want to actually say something as a comment on...
Well, of course we're going to say more stuff. I would enjoy the comical opening.
We'll enjoy this all episode, and you know it.
Mm-hmm.
So... They obviously didn't announce this at the time of the renewal. Usually, if it's you get your whatever and final season, right?
Yes.
In the announcement.
Well, before you go any further, there's another detail to add with this, because I read the headline and said, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," and I immediately thought, "Oh, we've been speculating about Crisis and about blah blah blah," and when I clicked on it, I was like, it actually said for 10 episodes. Season 8 of Arrow is only going to be 10 episodes long, which notably ends at around the time of Crisis, maybe slightly after, but around that time.
Can you imagine if Arrow's last episode is the final episode of the Crisis crossover?
And he dies.
It's actually possible.
It is possible now. It's plausible. So,
here's what's interesting to me about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jamie, I don't think they decided this when they renewed it. Basically, because when we said, "Oh yeah, we think Oliver Queen's going to die in Crisis," right? But then they renewed it for another season, and we were like, "Well, that gives us at least half a season, right, without him."
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying how the first half of this season specifically, without Oliver, he was in prison, felt like, okay, we're prototyping. Can the rest of them carry the show? Without him. And then we've introduced Emika. We've introduced a new Green Arrow, right? We've got that successor there, and it really felt like, no, they wanted Arrow to carry on, and wanted to try and continue it without Oliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in the last couple of months, they've decided, nope, it can't work. It's not going to carry it.
I also wonder if it's because I don't think the pilot's done yet, but I think as they're getting closer to Batwoman, I wonder if that's feeling more confident. And it's like, because one of the things we said, that as soon as they announced that they were doing a Batwoman show of some kind, or Batwoman's coming in, we speculated, is this the replacement for Arrow?
Yeah, we didn't necessarily think it would be one out, one in immediate, like this. Very likely is going to be.
And in the sense that it's a street level vigilante, we thought, is this going to be the essential replacement for Arrow? And funnily enough, if it may not, but if Batwoman starts mid-season, it could literally be here's Arrow's slot taken up by
I'm
Batwoman.
expecting it to start mid-season, to be quite honest with you.
Why?
Because I think we can still have the 4 episodes for the crossover.
If we don't start till mid-season, I still think Batwoman will be in the crossover.
Oh, I think she'll be in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disputing that. I think they don't want to bog down Batwoman so early in its show.
Hmm.
You know, in its first season. To okay, let's do a crossover. I think they want to let it get its groove before they do that. I think the easiest way to do that is start it after the crossover.
Yeah, I think it'll be funny to me if it literally Arrow ends and then after Christmas, here's Batwoman taking that slot.
In the same time slot.
Yeah, in the same time slot.
And because as soon as this was announced, we said this because it's like it feels a bit redundant to have both of them, and I think we thought there'll be a season or 2 crossover period.
I think what's notable about this more than anything else, though, is that it's the first one of this universe that's actually ending, and I am fascinated by this because I'm like, because this is the first time we have to, because this is something the MCU's not even had to do yet, is how do we replace one of the characters? How do we do this? How do we transition from one to the other? You know, legacy or not, you know, even if it's connected or not. In this case, it's not really, but spiritually, it feels like the successor to Arrow in a lot of ways. And I think, you know, if this works, if this is a smooth transition, I then think, okay, then 2 or 3 years down the line, do we do this with Flash going into another sci-fi style show, and then a year after that or 2, Supergirl goes into something else. Superman possibly. You know, I don't know what Legends becomes, but like
Legends oddly is the only one that feels safe because it's got a rotating cast anyway.
That's true.
So you can kind of just swap in and out as you please.
Or alternatively, that's the one that could just get cancelled and not be replaced.
And not be replaced. Yeah. Safest in the sense of there's no point in replacing it with something similar because it's just so different. And you know, I think it's 8 seasons isn't bad though. To be fair to it,
no, it's not.
It's still a good run. You know, I know that all the headlines are like Arrow cancelled and.
It's not really. No, it's not really. I mean, I've been joking it's been cancelled, but really it's just ending. They've made a choice to end it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference. So
that makes sense. I think Amell was contracted for 8 seasons anyway. We were fairly sure he was dying in Crisis. It's like
I do think it's
a fine way to end.
I do think it's interesting that the core reason for this does seem to be that Amell's done, and he doesn't seem like he hates the show, but he's like, yeah, I'm done. You know, I've had 8 seasons. I don't want to.
I don't blame the guy for that.
No, I don't. But what I'm saying is, I think it's interesting because it honestly leads me to think that the reason why Supergirl will end when it does end is because Melissa Benoist's contract's up, and she probably wants to go do bigger, better things because she is a good actress and has probably got a future ahead of her in bigger and brighter things. So that I don't know what she's contracted for. I have no idea. Maybe it's 8, just like Arrow. Maybe it's not.
Maybe I'm not sure. Yeah, it might have been different with the way with the circumstances of its beginnings.
Yeah. Whereas I mean Grant Gustin, I could see him being like, yeah, I'll do another 5 seasons.
Yeah.
I could totally see him saying
that's it. Amel's a bit older. You know, he's got a family.
Mm.
And you know, he obviously gets a bit of movie work here or there as well. Maybe just the schedule and lifestyle would suit him better now.
It's fascinating for me to think that 2020's crossover will have no Arrow, but we'll have Batwoman instead. But then 2021 we might not have Supergirl, but we'll have something else instead of that. You know, it'll get to a point where in like 5 years' time, it might be like 5 different shows compared to what we had this past couple of years.
It's good because I think they say Supergirl ends when Benoist's done.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that ends now when she's not coming back.
I agree, and that's what I say. Arrow didn't have to. They had easy legacy outs. Hell, they've spent half of this season setting up a legacy out.
Yeah.
But
they chose not to.
But they chose not to, which is interesting. I imagine we'll still get
cameos, yeah. Well, that's the beauty of the shared universe is we can have some of these characters show up in crossovers. We can have some of them just pop up for random because it's not like they're busy with Arrow now. Like they can just
easy to schedule. Hey, you free?
Curtis, you want to come and do an episode of Flash or the Legends or whatever? They can just do that.
Yeah.
Why
I'm sure this leaves it with Emmy still continuing the fight.
Yeah, we just don't see it. Yeah,
we just don't see it. Yeah, we're not following it every week, but it's still happening. We'll get Barry will mention it every so often.
But when there's a crossover and we cut to Star City and we get the Arrow like theme song will kick in and she's jumping over a building or something like that, it'll feel nostalgic. Probably even to us, even though we hated most of the show.
And this is the thing we have to give Arrow credit for, like genuinely here. It started all of this. You know, we're at a point now where we're getting a goddamn crisis. Arrow did technically start that.
Yes.
So we have to be grateful to it on some level for
To a
being
point.
not necessarily good enough, but popular enough.
Sure. Yeah, okay. I can get on board with that line of thinking. It's fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me to see how the DCCW landscape will be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Like, is something always replacing something else? Is there always at least 4 shows? Especially when you don't count Black Lightning because that's not connected to the rest of them, kind of thing. You know, we're in uncharted territory here. Like, there's nothing I can compare this to. You know, there's nothing that feels quite like this in TV history.
There's not. It's weird, isn't it?
And sure, yeah, like some CBS shows may have had like multiple spin-offs, but they never like coexisted in the same world where they're constantly referencing each other and they're constantly doing things. It didn't really matter if one get cancelled and things went
These genuinely feel more interconnected than the Marvel universe at times. Because
maybe early on, I think at this point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh no! This is the thing. Because technically, okay, you have to include the Netflix shows. You have to include Shield. Once you consider everything of the Marvel universe, it kind of feels fragmented, right?
Oh shit! I wouldn't know. I don't think that's fair. That's not a fair comparison because the CW shows don't have to connect with it, and it's separate. They only get to connect with the other CW shows. So for a fair comparison, we can only compare the movies connecting to the other movies. Because as you say, the TV shows are definitely fragmented and feel of it. They're literally a different company making them.
They are.
So I think a fair comparison, because I think at this point the MCU does feel like an ongoing saga between all of it, because
sure. Yeah.
You know, there's setups in some movies that lead into the others, and there's characters going back and forth and all sorts of things. You know what I mean? I just saw Captain Marvel today. I'm not going to talk about it because we're doing the review for it at the weekend. You can come back and see my thoughts. But there's definitely things in there. It's like, hey, like, this is not... These solo movies now aren't just like super solo movies. There's definitely... Because I felt like you go back to Phase 1 of Marvel, there's things that feel kind of just Easter eggy. Where it's like, okay, yeah, they'll lean to something, but they feel not shoehorned in, but just kind of. Whereas at this point, but at this point, like we're talking about, Captain Marvel, and that's related to the Kree, and we see all these Kree characters. When Rowan the Accuser shows up, it doesn't feel like just a cheap thing. It feels like, yeah, I'd be annoyed if like they didn't mention this part of the Kree because this is the part of the Kree that we know from other movies, kind of thing. Like it feels like, oh yeah, this all lines up with everything else we know already.
Sure.
So. And the CW shows, to their credit, for the most part, kind of do that. There's a bit of cheating here or there or whatever, but
yeah, some time travel shenanigans.
Yes. But yeah, so Arrow's ending. Barring some crossovers.
Yeah.
I will never have to watch a Felicity scene again after. In fact, I actually counted. We have 19 episodes left in total of Arrow.
Well, all I'm saying is, Year of Our Lord 2019, the death of Arrow.
Yes. I mean, episode 10 could be after Christmas because it's usually only 9 before Christmas, but I feel like they probably...
No, they'll squeeze it in.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
There's no way you come back for one episode.
Yeah. I'll start a week earlier, probably, to account for it, maybe. Yeah, I can see that. I see that. Here's the thing, do you think one or two characters will go to Legends or somewhere else even, so they'll stick around?
I can see us getting definitely Legends. Maybe even Emmy.
You think Emmy maybe because she's the new one? She's
the new one, at least developed. They've got the most to play with.
Yeah. Get an angry Archer on the Legends team. I could see that working.
Yeah, especially if for some reason they insist on this future thing still being the future for that.
But here's the thing, though. Now that we know it's ending, like,
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, this future thing can just be the thing now. Like, it's almost like it almost goes against what you were saying earlier, where they were thinking of trying to continue it without, because this almost feels like the future thing in general was like, oh, they knew they were getting close to the end point, so now it's okay to do
See,
this.
this is it. Since the start of the season, showrunners they've been saying outright, no, this is the future. Every season now will be
Well,
adhering
let's see,
to
I'd
this.
be curious to what the exact wording is, because if it's just no, this is it now till the end of the show, then the end of the show, if it's going to be like next season, then it's not actually
Yeah,
that long, and they're being accurate in what they say.
true, true. But I mean, assuming that they want to pretend that will be the future, even at the end of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
That restricts us from having some stuff on Legends, I guess.
Not much.
No,
It restricts us from having Felicity, because Felicity has to stay and do all the stuff that leads to the future, and that's okay.
small mercies, right?
Yeah, small mercies. Um, the rest of the characters, though, like, I mean, like you say, Emmy, whoever else, like, sure, give us
Yeah.
them.
I don't know who else I could see popping up on it though. Like, I think Emmy's the most likely to go to like Legends specifically.
Mm.
Because I mean, that's a bit incapacitated
Yeah, yeah.
in the powers department. Curtis is gone. Renee's just gonna be a dad for a bit and then do some mayoral pushing.
With a really bad wig.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this honestly is really fascinating. Just watching how this is going to play out over the next couple of years, and what happens when the next show is ending, and or like, does this go a while now? Like, is there like 3 more years of like nothing else being cancelled now, kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Because it could be that way.
Yeah. I think Diggle replaces Lila on all the Flash episodes where they have to go to Argus.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
Just because it's like, oh, we'll see Diggle again.
I could see that. I could see that. And all of a sudden, all this like future kid stuff I've never seen Oliver. That all makes sense now if he's dying next year.
Yeah,
If he's
which
dying
we
next
were
season.
speculating anyway.
Yeah, but now it's like, oh, okay, lock it in.
Yeah,
Lock it in. All right. So yeah, what there was actually, I believe this was in the last, because obviously it's been 2 weeks since the last episode. I believe since the last episode we recorded, there was some buzz about a Constantine revival.
yes, yeah. On DC Universe, I believe.
On DC Universe, yes, but they want Matt Ryan for it, so it would be a continuation of sorts of
Yeah, I
this
guess
version of the
I mean
character.
he's a pretty good Constantine. I didn't love the show. I wanted to love that show. I did, but I still like him.
Hmm.
And I've enjoyed him on Legends. And you go, oh well, he'll have to. We'll take him away from Legends to do that. That's fine. I like him on Legends, but I don't need him as a permanent cast member.
Yeah, I'm not that fussed about him leaving Legends. I guess the one upside of DC Universe doing it is if they do go through with it, they can go full hard R rating. They, it can be, full on what
He can
Constantine
smoke,
should be.
and I say that as a non-smoker.
It makes sense. I'm not a big Constantine fan, so I mean I'm not that excited about this really.
Yeah, but we'll do it.
Oh sure, yeah.
If it happens, we'll probably even cover the first season.
Oh wait, wait a minute. What?
Oh come on, you're gonna go into this without watching the
Yeah,
first
it's a new
season.
show. It's not season 2. It's a new show.
You know it's not.
It's Constantine's.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be called Hellblazer. No, you know what? It's going to be called Hellblazer.
It's gonna be called
I'm,
Hellblazer.
I'm predicting it right now. It's going to be called
Called,
Hellblazer.
it's called Hellblazer. But it's like 13 episodes. You could stomach it.
Oh, God, I'm not promising anything.
Yeah.
Not promising anything.
It's not that bad. It's better than Arrow. Hell, it's better than Flash this season
Aye, this season.
and last season.
Maybe last season. Like, Flash is having a rough go of it right now.
Yeah.
We're all hoping for a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
But on that note, let's start talking about shows. Let's talk about Doom Patrol. This is season 1, episodes 2 and 3. Episode 2 is called Donkey Patrol. Episode 3 is called Puppet Patrol. And yes, there's a theme here. Each episode is going to be something patrol.
My only disappointment is that it doesn't all begin with, the first will begin with D. So it can always be the DP for Doom Patrol.
Yes. I'm sure your double penetration episode's coming up. Don't worry.
Hey, I wouldn't put it past this show.
So this gave us the best line of the episode, the best line of the week, and most likely the title of this episode. Even though it was last week's episode, it was episode 2, but the donkey as a door is too good not to put as the title of the episode. So I'm using it, and no one can talk me out of it.
I love this show. I love it so much.
Episode 2 of Doom Patrol featured at least 3 of the characters going in the mouth of a donkey, which led into a make-believe world inside the donkey, which had swallowed the whole town, which was reminiscent of the comic book where the painting had swallowed all of Paris. I was getting that kind of vibe from some of this idea. Meanwhile, Mr. Nobody's narrating the whole thing. They can hear him, and he's also still being very meta. In fact, at the start of the start of the episode, Timothy Dalton, the chief, turns around and says, "Who are you talking to?" And Mr. Nobody says, "Grant Morrison, Reddit trolls who have a DC Universe subscription."
The three new fans we kept since the donkey fart.
Yeah, there you go. That was the last one. All right, I'm in.
That line, I was like, yeah, okay. I love this.
Okay, yeah, it's very good. You've got me. You've got me. It knows
its audience, doesn't it?
The town's been swallowed. Like, Cliff wants to try and fix it. He's chasing the donkey around. Honestly, Cliff shouting, "OF" like every time something surprising happens always cracks me up.
I think it's his delivery of it. Yeah, because to go back to how on Titans, a lot of the swearing felt edgy and just for the sake of it. Coming out of his mouth, it feels so natural.
No, it does. It does. One of Jane's personalities has a really cool power in both of these episodes.
Silver Tongue,
yeah, where she says the words and then it appears and then she can stab people with them.
She can throw it, and it's like I've not seen this in the comic. I don't think that power showed up in the bit we read.
Yeah,
but I can see it on the panel, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, okay, that looked cool.
No, it did look good. So that popped up in both episodes. That was fun. A lot of these 2 episodes, especially the second episode, focused on Cyborg. It was like, here's Cyborg, here's what he's up to. Some of the biggest laughs I got, actually, is the rivalry we seem to have now between Robot Man and Cyborg.
Which is amusing, given that at the end of the first episode I went, so why Cyborg? It feels like he's a bit redundant, given we've already got Robot Man.
Well, here's the beauty of it, is that he's a very different character for a start. He's got a very different attitude. He wants to be a leader. He wants to be on the Justice League. In fact, Robot Man saying, "Justice League 2020."
Which was in the trailer.
Yeah, when he's it was in episode 3.
But it was in the trailer as well.
Yeah, but he's making fun of him because his plan's not going very well. Because he's like, first he's going to get a private jet, and then his dad cuts him off from the Star Labs private jet. It's like, okay, we have to drive then, and
this is the sort of Cyborg that I love. We talk in the comics how he doesn't work on the Justice League.
No,
but he's kind of past. He's a bit too old now for the Teen Titans. But what is an ideal place for him is like, the leader of the younger Titans group, right?
Yeah.
He's the mentor, intermediate character.
This is kind of like that, except instead of younger characters, it's a bunch of weirdos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's the same attitude.
But no, so that Justice League joke was funny, but the one that it was almost a callback to that though, right? Because obviously he's cracking jokes about Batman and Superman and Justice League. The next morning, they're trying to leave the motel, and Cyborg can't find his keys. And Robot Man just shouts out, "I bet Aquaman never loses his keys." And that broke me. That just broke me.
Oh,
it's delightful. I do think episode 3 is probably the weakest of the 3 so far. Just in because episode 1 is all the great introduction stuff, all the great backstory stuff. It felt like it really built to this big final moment. Episode 2. You had the donkey. You had this weirdness of going into the donkey, and it felt super Doom Patrol, and it was setting all this stuff up, and it's like, yeah. And then the third one, still good, but it felt a bit more laid back in the sense that it was just driving to this the place where nobody got his powers, and it's now this like meta-human like clinic. It's like it's like instead of getting like plastic surgery, you're getting meta powers, and you go there and they're eyeing this stuff up. So that was episode 3. That was the bulk of that, but I mean, I love both. Like, I mean, I'm digging this show a lot.
This for anyone who has been on the fence about DC Universe for whatever reason, this show justifies your subscription for right now.
That was the meta thing that nobody said. Just before the credits in the second episode, he's like, and now here's our pretentious opening title sequence. And I think is that the title sequence.
Yeah.
It was so good. So what do we think of Cyborg? Just in terms of like, so he's actually actively being a hero in the sense that he's tracking down muggers and things like that in Detroit.
Street level vigilante.
Yeah, he's doing that kind of thing. He's a little bit cocky.
People seem to know who he is.
People seem to know who he is. People recognize him and say, "Hey, you're Cyborg." And also I love the joke about like because he's obviously got like tech on. He's got like scanners. He's got like video calls and all that in his eye. But at one point, he gets a printout of the thing that he was looking at, and they start debating where the printout came from. Like, does it come out your butt? Like, is that where the printout comes from?
Yeah. These characters are delightful.
Yeah, because Cyborg, because the second episode really focuses on Cyborg kind of as a narrative vehicle, because he comes to the town because he sees that it's been swallowed. Or not, he doesn't know it's been swallowed literally, but he knows it's missing. Something's happened. And he knows Niles is there because we get flashbacks with him and Niles is like kind of good. He's like an uncle to him, and he comes to the town. He argues with Cliff, and they try to talk to Crazy Jane. And I actually love because there's a lot more Crazy Jane kind of like discovery in this episode. We find out about the underground, the railroad, and Cliff kind of watches some of the tapes and kind of learns about it. And I love that he kind of realizes this really dangerous persona.
He's like, oh shit, Cyborg.
As Cyborg's trying to talk to her and get this character out. It's really good. So we get the idea that there's an original persona. It's not Jane. Jane's not the original one. And we knew that from the comics, but the show is it's
very clearly established in the third episode.
Yes. It was the third episode, but they clearly established that Jane wasn't the original one. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was loving them doing all that stuff, and and then it's just always it's interesting because Cyborg's paired with Robot Man and Jane specifically. But then it kind of switches, and he's with Jane and Rita and Larry, who go on, and I love them talking Rita into getting into a trash bag and then being squeezed into the mouth because everyone else is too big to put their hand in the donkey.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's wonderfully absurd. It's really playing to the strengths of Doom Patrol. It's not afraid to be weird.
I'm still a little bit shocked that this show exists in such an unfiltered form.
It's delightful.
Because this is exactly what you think a Doom Patrol adaptation should be, right? There's no studio interference on this.
Yes. And then, I think it was episode 3, we got all the flashbacks with Larry, and it was kind of like, because at the end of episode 2, he leaves himself a note for the energy being inside him. Like we need to set up some ground rules because he tries to leave. I think it's the start of episode 2. He tries to abandon the town, and every time he tries to get in a bus, the
just zaps him.
Yeah, the energy just leaves him, and then he wakes up with the back in him, and he's like, "Oh,
let's try somewhere else." He's like, "Oh, I guess it doesn't want me going to that place." So he gets all these different tickets trying to go anywhere.
Which really leads us into this interesting conversation about the motivations and what does this being want?
Yeah, because he's convinced right now that it's trying to kill him.
Yeah. And he wakes up in one of the rafters after he leaves him that note, and it's like, oh, is it really? This is what we're doing? I asked for this, and I was actually thinking when he was driving the bus, I was thinking this is some good idea. At any point, he can pass out because the energy being can leave him.
Yeah,
is this a good idea? And sure enough, the bus ends up,
because it's quiet, the rest are all asleep, so he tries to have a conversation with it, and to prove its point, it trashes the bus.
Yep, it does. Yeah, because it even comes back and hits the front. But we get all these flashbacks. We see him with his boyfriend, and sort of the idea that his wife did seem to know that something was going on because she's like, oh, every time we move town, you promise there'll be no more late night drinks with the guys, and a clear implication of what that means. It's not just the normal interpretation of it. And how the boyfriend wanted to move away and get away from the service, and he's like, no, I want to fly this plane. I want to do that. I want to be a test pilot. Damn it.
Yeah. After the accident, there's this nice duality of where the wife is like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I'm going. Yeah. And then obviously the boyfriend comes here, is like, hey, I'm here, whatever you need, and then he's the one telling, Larry's telling him to go.
Yeah. There's a really wonderful and kind of obvious metaphor here about like he wants to try and control the thing inside him rather than sort of coexist with it, and that was kind of the problem in his past, is that he didn't necessarily try and accept that he was gay and have a gay life. He tried to control it and just give it like, because it was like, I see you once a week. I think the boyfriend said at one point. It's like he tried. That's the ground rules. He was trying to set up ground rules with the energy being in the same way that he did in the past with his gay lifestyle.
Yeah.
Instead of accepting that it's part of him, and like, so there's some clear metaphors going on there, and it works well. It's good.
Yeah. It's clear his story is going to be about self-acceptance.
Yeah. So that works. Obviously Jane, it's all about trauma, and so. But yeah, it's hard to fault a lot of what's going on. They get to
we're saying 3 is not as strong, but it's still pretty good. There's nothing like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah, it's a road trip. They get to the clinic. They're trying to figure out. We get the puppet show. There's that character who's there to get a power, and he wants to get magnet feet.
Yeah,
that's
I don't know why you'd want that.
To walk on walls, clearly.
How many walls are magnetic?
If you find where the beams are that are holding the structure up.
Sure, I can't argue with that.
Maybe he didn't mean literal magnet. Maybe he just meant like Spider-Man magnet style, right? He's not a literal magnet, just and that he sticks to walls.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe that's what he meant. He was just choosing his wording poorly, and we took
I feel like
his
this
words.
is a place where you want to specify very accurately what you want.
Yeah, but to be fair, he didn't say it to the technicians or the doctors. He said it to Jane or whoever.
Yeah, I still wouldn't trust them not to be listening. Be like, where are you? What you said, magnet feet.
This is true. That said, though, there is a delightful series of fight scenes at the end of the third episode. Robot Man bashing heads into the wall was absolutely beautiful.
I don't know. Was there a higher point than him ripping the dude in half?
That was also good. I will accept that was also good.
Oh, man. So good.
This is good. It's good. I mean, I feel bad. The one downside to doing 2 episodes together is they kind of get a little bit shortchanged in the sense that they because I watched them both in the same day, they do kind of blur together a little bit. And some of the smaller finite details, I'm not quite going to talk about as much.
I have the opposite problem in that I watched episode 2 a week ago when I thought we were going to be doing something, a week ago for a smaller episode.
Well, we would have done on the Saturday had you not fallen asleep.
Traveling was tiring.
No, I'm pointing that out because it sounds like you're blaming me.
No, I wasn't blaming. There was no implication of blame there. I'm saying I had the opposite problem to you in that I thought we were going to do something, so I watched it, and then things fell apart, so we didn't.
Yes. Things fell apart. Connor fell asleep.
Make it sound so bad.
Oh dear. So yeah, one of Jane's characters teleports, and that gets them there quicker. Well, I guess some of them there quicker.
Yeah, not Cyborg.
Not Cyborg and Rita. They have to go in after. But no, I like a lot of the character building it's doing. Like, it's not slowed down. Like, I feel like the pacing of episodes 2 and 3, even though they're both almost a full hour long, they're so dense. They're so packed. I never feel like, this doesn't work or whatever.
No, it's always moving, but there's always so much going on.
And of course, right now their mission is to find the chief because he's missing.
Yeah.
And potentially save the world if that's where that's leading. You've got the goody two shoes. You've got Cyborg who believes in doing it, and the others are kind of convinced into it because
feel a bit guilty.
Yeah, because he's done all this for you. You owe it to him to not stop looking.
Yeah.
So, delightful. I have nothing.
I love this show.
I know, it's great. So yeah,
if we can get this quality going forward for just DC Universe,
yeah,
this is the perfect service.
Yeah. So apologies, the reviews are a little bit truncated this time because it's 2 of them together. But next week with episode 4, we'll be back to doing the usual coverage. But really good. Both really good. I think 3 is the weakest so far, but still really good. So,
yeah.
Yes. That'll take us on then to Supergirl, Season 4, Episode 13. It's called What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. So, first things first.
Choice of title?
Choice of title, yes. Because I knew there was one coming up called this, but I didn't necessarily know it was this one. And then as soon as it got to Black Manchester Black, sorry, I was
Yeah.
like, it's not Black First, not Black First. Why am I not getting this name? Manchester Black. When it got to him and the Elite, I was like, oh, this is this episode because this
Yeah.
is the story that is inspired by that. And Supergirl obviously has some clunkers. It has some problems. James and Lena being the notable ones, and it has some weak villains. But comparing it to Flash and Arrow, it means that it comes out very favorably because it still hits a lot of high notes when the occasion comes around.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this episode as a whole is a high note, but I do think it was a fairly
It
solid.
has some great moments.
Yeah, it has some great moments. It's fairly solid overall, and I loved them taking Nia to the fortress.
Yeah.
Also, Brainy being inconspicuous was good.
What was his alias?
Barney. He's used it before. It was when I got the pieces.
You're
It was
right.
Barney.
Yeah, you're right.
But they go to the fortress and it's like, hey, you can train here, and Brainy's training Nia. And
Yeah. Kalex, you piece of shit.
oh yeah, this is my new favorite rivalry. Is Kalex and Brainy seem to hate each other. He calls him Kleenex at one point, and then
so good.
and then at one point, like I don't know what Kalex said about Brainy, but he insulted him as well. It was great that they're making these bickering little comments, and this is out of nowhere, but I don't mind. This is the out of nowhere that I can enjoy because it's just so weird and random. But I dig it. So that stuff's really good. All the members of the Elite aren't necessarily interested on their own, but as serving their purpose as a group for Manchester Black, they actually work well enough.
Yeah, I like obviously Manchester Black. I like the hat. He's got a bit of charisma to him.
Yeah, and then
compared to the others.
The alien, he serves a functional purpose in terms of what he can do, and then the woman is probably the thief,
not Venom.
The menagerie, yes, she's probably the weakest one in that she's just kind of the most basic and cliched. But again, as a henchman for Manchester Black, it's fine. You know what?
Yeah,
it works. It's fine. But yeah, so this episode kind of plays back into we talked about the themes this season about the Children of Liberty. This is presenting the extreme and the opposite end, where Manchester Black starts killing these people and starts going after them, and it becomes this thing where Supergirl's caught in this middle, where she's like, well, if I, because it eventually revolves around this satellite that's launching this this system that's going to shoot down ships that come towards the Earth, and it's like, if I destroy it, it's like I'm siding with the Elite in Manchester Black. If I don't destroy it, it'll be seen as siding with the Children of Liberty. So what do I do?
Yeah, and I'm a little bit disappointed that the choice got made for her quite so easily. Yeah, in that it got reprogrammed. It'll take out the White House, so now she just gets to stop it and be a hero.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I get it. It's just a little disappointing for her not to even have to really think about that choice. Just to be like, well, it's the obvious thing to do now. I just have to save lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though, because I feel like it has to kind of do that. I think what might help this in retrospect is if the choice essentially comes up again later, because the two sides still exist, and she still has to deal with this idea of like, yeah, theoretically Manchester Black and the Elite are on the same side in terms of like what they're fighting, but obviously their methods.
Extremists.
Yeah, they're extremists, right? And I think the debate of trying to like do something that doesn't seem to be like going with either party, will come up again, and maybe that's when it gets tougher the next time.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
And it at the very least, I don't think it felt out of character for Manchester to do that though.
No, me either.
Yeah.
I don't feel out of character. I felt it in the writing of okay, let's give ourselves an easy out this time.
I am glad they didn't forget about that suit. Lets her fly into space, because that was a pretty cool moment. It was like, wait, how did I do this? It's going into space, and then Alex was like, "Hey, Supergirl, got your suit."
Yeah, and then Manchester Black gets the Legion ring and flies up and shoots with the laser guns.
Is that meant to be negative or positive? I can't tell what you're talking.
Amazing.
Okay, good.
I loved it. I'm like, yes, give me more of this.
And Brainy's pissed because he's lost his ring, and Nia's like, "Oh, we'll get it back." But yeah, the Manchester Black's got a Legion ring right now. He can fly around.
Hell yeah.
Things are happening. I just liked that. I thought it looked good as well. I thought the overall effect to the her going through the, because she flies through it and it all explodes. I was like, oh, it looked pretty good for this show standards. Well, between that and Kalex, I do think Supergirl tends to fare better in effects.
I think it's because it relies on them more than the others do, to a point where they went, no, 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 this has to be better.
I feel like Flash relies on them as well, though.
But
But Flash's look worse typically.
its base effects of like just running and stuff look fine.
Sure, yeah.
In the same way that this, like the base effects of flying always look fine here. I feel like they're just the base effect here is more demanding, but they knew that going in.
I just, but yeah, between Kalex and this, I feel like they have they're very smart about picking 2 or 3 things per episode and then making sure they look good. Usually, right? There's the odd. I'm
Yeah.
not saying there's never bad effects on the show because there has been, but
Oh yeah,
typically I think it fares better than Flash does, which is the main one I'm comparing it to.
yeah. No, that's the fairest comparison.
Yeah. So yeah. Also, we got the fun moment where I actually kind of popped a little bit, because Manchester Black's with his elite, and it's like Supergirl's there on her own. It's like, well, I've got a team, and then like Jean, Nia, and Brainy all step out. It's like, well, you've got the elite, but I've got super friends. I'm like, I mean, it's a cute reference to the old cartoon, but
I'll take it.
it felt kind of like, oh, this is kind of her own little Justice League. Okay, I'm into this.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah, and Nia's blasting things. She's doing astral projection. She's learning things about her
Just
alien.
harnessing dream energy.
Yes, I actually really like how she fights, where she can predict the next thing. Like
Yeah,
she dreams. She's like dreaming premonitions of the next move. It's kind of Spider Sense, but not exactly.
yeah. No, that's interesting.
I like it. It's a little bit different. No, mostly I was into it. I mean the Ben Lockwood story.
Yeah,
I don't think it was necessarily bad. It did feel like it kind of got to the extremes out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden, this guy's like, "Oh, you've went soft now. You're drinking girly drinks," and like I like the ending. I like him like taking back his position by like beating the shit out of
flashing
him.
the dude in with the
Yeah,
mask. It's like, yes, this feels like the villain that I loved in that third episode.
yeah, exactly. I just never felt like he just got out of prison last episode. It never felt like we'd gotten to this point yet. It felt like we
No,
just
I
jumped here.
agree. It happened too fast. All of this, with the president offering him stuff already.
Mm.
I'm like, I get how it's going this route, but it feels like this has taken place over like 2 episodes. I think we've got too many villains this season, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. That said, both Lockwood and Manchester Black are better than any of the villains we've had before. So,
They are, they are. But between them, we've still got Comrade Kara to go.
which I'm also pretty confident saying will be better than any of the villains we've had before, just because it's Melissa Benoist playing
Yeah,
her.
no, I have to agree.
So we're going to be in this weird this situation. We're going to have 3 probably the best villains we've ever had on this show, but they're all stealing time from each other.
Well, yeah, no, it'll be this frustrating bit where we go, but all of these could have been significantly better. And not that the villain personality could have been better, just the plots could have been better if they'd been paced more appropriately.
That said, I think the moral dilemma from this episode justifies having both Lockwood and Manchester in the same season.
No, I agree with that. I feel like that it was uneven pacing in establishing them, like
Yeah.
and where we got to. Like Lockwood was introduced so early, and then kind of took a back seat for a large chunk of episodes, and then all of a sudden he's leapt forward to he's in the cabinet for right.
I don't think there's as many episodes as you think it was. I think it feels bigger because it was the Christmas break, and so on.
That's fair in my opinion.
Because he went to prison. I think that was the last episode before Christmas.
Yeah, which
And
was 4 episodes ago.
yeah, so I mean, in the last episode he was there before he got out of prison at the end. So I mean, it was really only like 3 episodes that he was a non-factor.
Fair enough. It just felt like a big chunk of time.
I think on a rewatch it wouldn't feel that.
Fair enough.
It would feel a bit more condensed. And Alex and Supergirl are kind of bonding. She's kind of learning to trust her a little bit, and
Yeah, I'm really having problems
mm-hmm.
with the whole identity thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously we've questioned it in the past. Like, come on, this person's got to know that Kara's Supergirl, right?
Yeah.
I feel like memory wiping or not, This is still her sister.
One Supergirl's in her apartment talking to her, and
Yeah, it's not like she's doing anything with her voice.
yeah, being friendly, and
She's just got her hair down. It's a sister. She's seen her with her hair down before.
but not without the glasses.
I'm pretty sure she probably has. And I'm just like, I don't know. Is the mind thing stopping it coming back? Like I'm just like, is she not looking at her going, yeah, you look a lot like my sister, and then just disregard, like, there seems to be no inkling, no awareness whatsoever, and it's frustrating me. Like, I get you wiped it, but she can still discover it again on her own heart. Like, I feel like that's the thing that you should be doing. Have her discover it and be like, why didn't you tell me? And have her feel betrayed that she thinks her sister didn't tell her her whole life. I feel like there's something you could do there. And I just don't understand why it's not playing with these things.
I think it will play with that. It's just not. They're just not there yet. I think that moment's going to happen. There's going to be a moment where she realizes it's her.
Then I'm going to preemptively complain about the same thing we've just complained about in this episode with Lockwood, that it'll happen really fast over one episode.
Oh, sure. I mean, that'll be fair.
Like,
if that's the case, it'll be fair.
An ideal, like you said, the moment here specifically, she's in her apartment having a chat. That's an ideal moment to start planting that seed.
I don't think it'll be gradual. The moment I'm imagining is more of a, like, she has to, I don't know, do something in front of her, and it'll reveal that she's Supergirl. But, like, I feel like they're going to make a big deal of that moment where Alex realizes it's her. Like, that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just frustrated me this episode, more so than the last couple.
What I want now is I want Brainy to come up and just be like, by the way, your sister's Supergirl. It's like, no, that can't be right. Carol wears glasses. Supergirl's got perfect vision.
That would be a great callback.
That would be a great callback.
I don't trust them to do it.
But yeah, so Ben takes back power. He also gets made, was it Alien Affairs Secretary or something, whatever the position was.
Yeah.
Because the president sort of laughs at him when he wants to be deputized later on, but then after the whole Supergirl incident and the satellite and whatnot,
it's like, right, I can't do your whole gang, but I can give you a position.
Yes. I can't enlist the entirety of the group, but you're the David Duke of the bunch, so I can do just you.
Pretty much.
Yes. So we leave that there. We also leave with the idea that Haley wasn't even told about this operation. Because, Alex is pissed at it at first, because you should have told me about all this thing that was happening with the shooting the spaceships down. He's like, I didn't know. So even Haley's been left out of the loop, so that's maybe something we can explore going forward. But no, I like Manchester Black and the Elite. I like the stuff with the training. There was one Lena scene and one James scene separately. Maybe two Lena scenes.
Two Lena scenes, because you had the one at the start and the one at the end.
Yeah, with Alex.
Alex, yeah.
And she's going to tell Alex everything she's working on, but she doesn't want to do it in the, she wants to do it away from prying ears.
Yeah. So Alex shuts off the camera for a bit and be like, "Hey, we're cool. I trust you."
Yeah, we're
big mistake, Alex.
Giving people powers, yada yada yada. James is just like, moping because he's broke up with Lena.
I think he's maybe realizing he's supposed to have some integrity, and it's like, yeah, okay, maybe you should write that story that throws Lena under the bus.
Yeah, because that reporter's it's to do with the test subjects, and we saw one of them die. Remember that awful actor? Yeah. That whole thing.
That's what that was to do with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thought so.
But that was super cool. No, I mean, I thought it was mostly pretty solid, honestly. Like,
yeah, it was one of the better episodes for this half of the season, I think.
Yeah, I think, when I came into Supergirl, I'm kind of hoping for this to be the baseline. And, I enjoyed some of the action. I enjoyed her putting on the spacesuit, blowing up the thing. I enjoyed the fighting with the villains. It felt like a nice Team V team kind of thing, which is actually really fun now that we have, like, 4 of them that are heroes now, because it's like there's actually a team of 4 villains. So
yeah, I will say in future weeks, I'm going to have to watch this, like, before Doom Patrol. Because I watched Doom Patrol episode 3 first, and then went into all this. I feel like I'm just ruining myself for the rest of the day. Like going into this, and I'm like, but this was a good episode. It was fine, but I mean, coming off of Doom Patrol, I feel like I'm just coming down. I don't know. Okay, I need to do them the other way around next time.
That's fair. I would say this is good. This was a
Yeah, no, I agree.
solid episode of Supergirl. I like what it's doing for the most part. Supergirl's this weird thing, especially this season, where that doesn't mean that the next episode won't suck, but it doesn't mean even if the next episode sucks, that the next episode after that won't be pretty good. So it's it's hit and
It's all
miss.
over the place, isn't it?
I guess is what we're saying, which is still much better than Flash or Arrow.
Yes, at least this has good
This
episodes.
has good episodes. Um, I think I'm at the point now where I'm ready to say, unless it does something truly terrible at the end, it's better than season 3.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because season 3 had some high points. I loved the fight before Christmas, and I think I liked the first one back after Christmas, but then it kind of started to.
No, I'll go on record and say the first half of season 3 was better than the first half of season 4, up till Christmas.
Well, even the Lockwood episode.
The one episode is better. That one episode is better than anything last season.
Yeah, okay.
But as a whole of that kind of that first like 8, you're not counting the crossover episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was more consistent. I feel like season 3 was probably just a bit tighter because it was dealing with less random plot threads all over the place. Like this, we started with Mercy.
But it tanked though, right? Like
it tanked hard.
once we got to like the later rain stuff and her mother, the fountain of life or whatever it was in her head.
Yeah.
That
don't get me started. Bollocks. It went downhill.
Argo City was rushed to shit, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
This
has been a lot less consistent, but it's never been as bad.
Yes. I think by the end we'll think it overall is a better season. I really do.
I agree. I will. It will have to do something really bad to go worse than that.
Yes.
And it'll have to go bad soon.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
13. In fact, Joe, I like this. One of my complaints that I've had for a lot of these episodes recently is that it forgets Kara's the main character. I liked that her moral dilemma and her struggle with that was the main thing. That was the main focus. It was her choosing: do I go and face Manchester Black when he wants me to go and face him, and the best they could do to make a London pub, like or whatever. Like I like it felt more. It felt like it was about her this episode and her struggling with what to do. I like that.
I agree with that.
Because a lot of episodes have not felt like they were really about her. And not everyone has to be. It's fine for one to be an E episode, one to be a Brainy episode or whatever, but
it feels like it's been ages since we had a Kara episode.
And far too many have been Lena episodes.
Yeah.
Lena and
So
James
I guess
episodes.
With that, we should move on to a show where the episode is almost certainly not about its title character.
Oh yes, Arrow season 7 episode 14.
I said that not knowing which show it was going to be.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the order.
So Arrow next. So yeah, after this one, there's 19 left in total.
My liver is like celebrating.
Book it.
Every time. It's like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, he's still gonna be getting drunk for Flash though, so I wouldn't get too hopeful.
Yeah, it's true.
So this is called Brothers and Sisters, and as you would expect, we have the duality of Oliver and Emmy.
I was really confused for a second because you'd said like, "Oh, you're still gonna be getting drunk for Flash," and I was like, "Brothers and sisters? What the hell Flash episode was this? How drunk was I?"
We're still on Arrow Con.
I'm skipped over. I'm finished. It's done. It's cancelled. I don't care.
So we got the duality of Oliver and Emmy, and then of course in the future we found out that young what's Felicity's daughter?
Mia,
and William are brother and sister too. So we have this duality, and one of the things is knowing that it's ending now, and hearing that she never really met him, and he never saw him again really after this period. It's like, yeah, he's dead by the end of the show now. Like I'm fully convinced. So that's the whole thing, and the flash forwards are basically just him convincing her to like. Because at first it's like they're all accepting. I laughed out loud when I realized that she didn't know that Diggle's son was Diggle's son, Connor Hawke. Like, it's like adopted, sure, but she's like, wait. He's like, yeah. By the way, I know about your father. She's like, well, how do you know? It's like, I'm Diggle's son. I'm like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
but basically he ends up going, sort of tries to appeal to her through family means, and she kind of resents by the end of the scene, and it seems like they're going to be working together, one happy family, one happy queen family, as you do.
Do you know what my slight fear is in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, Arrow being cancelled, but then wanting to keep some of these characters around? Is Legends just visiting this time period and picking one of them up?
Oh god.
Because I don't hate any of the actors in this bit.
Please be Zoe. If it's going to be one of
Do
them.
you know what the problem is though?
Uh-huh.
This is like all the other characters are. I mean, Mia is a non-entity in the present day, obviously. But I don't think she could be fine. She's just frustrating in this
I mean,
plot.
how many characters from other shows have went on to Legends and just with the better writing have become
Been
quite
better, yeah.
likable? Yeah.
I think Roy has been as interesting in the future as he has been in the present. William is hands down better, just because he's not a horrible actor.
Better, but I mean, I don't really
No,
want him
I'm not
around.
saying good. I'm saying better.
Yes.
There is a difference. But I wouldn't want him on Legends.
Exactly.
But my point I was getting to is Zoe is a real. I don't want to pick up this version of Zoe. This version of Zoe is boring.
They're not going to pick up Kid Zoe.
Why not? Take her on some after-school adventures.
I'm just saying, if it's going to have to happen, I'd still rather it be Zoe out of the bunch in the future.
Fine. I prefer the actress of the kid.
I mean, so do I, but they're not going to take that would make no sense.
Why would it not? After-school special. Go on, let's go on a time travel adventure with your Aunt Sarah.
Jesus Christ. All right. So
I don't know what we were doing about.
just give me a sec. I'm trying to remember the plot of this episode. Hold on.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about Flash.
The Suicide Squad were training.
Yes, no, the not Suicide Squad.
Yes, they're not calling them that, but they send them on a mission to meet this Dante, which of course leads them to. Sorry, no, Dante's the main bad guy. This is
Dante's the main guy.
Virgil.
Yeah.
Because Virgil, Dante, Dante's Seven Circles of Hell, Virgil's his brother, blah, blah, blah. Right, so but yes, he's got Virgil. And Diaz has met him before, so he'll get a meeting, because none of the others could. So they go to try and, talk to him to set up a meeting with Dante so Argus can get to him. But they immediately just assume that they're double agents and just start shooting them, and the big fight scene ensues. It's a whole thing.
Yep.
Later on in the episode, though, because Diaz tries to run, and eventually Felicity and everyone gets roped into this mission, and Felicity's willing to do it as well. Because it becomes... Well, by the way, Felicity's pregnant. She's pregnant with Mia.
Which, I mean, toe shit.
Yeah. And it's Laurel who notices this, and Laurel talks her out of killing Diaz. It's like... We're in Bizarro world right now. So
We really are, aren't we?
yeah, so Diaz tries to pay back Dante by warning him about Argus coming for him, and then tries to escape. And there's a sweet moment, and I don't think it's sweet, but it's meant to be sweet, where Diggle came after Diaz even though he wasn't the priority for Felicity. It's whatever. Yeah.
Didn't put a bullet in the dick's head though, did they?
No.
Mission failed.
No. Yeah, but he did die at the end of the episode, though.
Yeah, but I wanted to see it with a bullet.
So someone sprayed gasoline into his cell and then set him on fire.
It's true, it was very satisfying.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I wanted the celebration in that moment.
Although he may not be
rather than the
dead.
surprise.
They maybe done the whole burn man thing, actually, now I'm thinking about it. He could still be alive with serious burns.
Why? Why do you do this to me?
Honestly, Diaz gave me probably the most charismatic moment of his acting he's ever had in this episode. It's when they say, "Oh, Diaz is going to get us in because he can get a meeting with the guy," and young, what's his face, Joseph, Deathstroke's son, Joey, yeah. He's just told us that he can't get a meeting with this guy, and then they say, "Oh, Diaz can get us in," and he turns around and looks at him, and Diaz just has this shit-eating grin.
It's like, that's right, I'm better than you.
And I'm like, that is the most genuine emotion he is portrayed as Diaz.
If he'd been like that the whole time, maybe we wouldn't hate him.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Oliver's trying to help Emmy find the guy who killed her mother.
Because Renee dropped the shit.
Yeah, and then basically he learns over the episode. His lesson is that he tries to stop her from doing things outside the law. And Renee kind of points out, how would you have felt if someone took your hit list back in season 1 and didn't let you do it? He's like, yeah, good point. So he kind of goes and apologizes, and
it's like, fine, go and kill some people.
They kind of bond. I mean, it's a whole thing. Was that it?
Did anything else happen? Dinah wasn't there?
I bet she was around, I think. Was she? No.
Was she? I don't remember her. I mean, I was drunk, but I don't remember her at all. Because obviously, she got...
yeah, she's maybe still in the hospital. Maybe
she's... thinking. She got throat slashed last time. And no one thought to go visit her this week, I guess?
She's recuperating.
Yeah. No one thought, let's go pay our friend a visit, see how she's doing all right, bring her some chocolates or whatever you do.
Oh yeah, bring her food when her throat's
all right. Ice cream then.
Yeah, ice cream maybe. Yeah, you can melt that down.
Bring her some ice cream. Maybe frozen yogurt if she wants to be healthy.
Arrow sucks. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So I feel like I struggle. I mean, I don't drink. I mean, Connor's the drunk one during. I'm sober watching Arrow, and I somehow struggle to remember what happened in it. When we come to talk about it, I really do.
Yeah, it's a real shame it doesn't air till Monday, because obviously this Sunday is Paddy's Day, and I'm probably going to get hammered while we're recording. So it's a shame it's not there for us to just watch after.
Well, the next movie news should be a delightful romp then, shouldn't it?
It's next Sunday. Sorry, not as in
this
like
Sunday. Okay, all right.
I forgot what day it was. I thought we were on like Monday or Tuesday already, and I'm like, no, that's not right.
Well, let's move on then to Black Lightning. This is season 2, episode 14. It's called The Book of Secrets, chapter 4, Original Sin, which is interesting because the next one is a chapter 1, meaning there's probably just a two-parter at the end.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting episode in terms of a focus point of view, because Jefferson's essentially just in a room with Lala, who see when he showed up in the previous one, I was like, wait, are we doing Lala? Didn't he die? And then sure enough, he did die again. He got brought back again. But we do get to see, I mean, we don't understand it necessarily, but we get to see the process of him coming back. And it is pretty disgusting.
It is. I'm a little frustrated by this, because this is actually a pretty good episode.
Sure.
But why? Why are we introducing Lala again now, 3 episodes from the end of the season? And setting it up as an ongoing thing to come back. Like, why are we doing this now?
Because he's coming for Tobias. This is the time.
Yeah, exactly. This feels like just a out of left field end for this big climax for the season. I'm not a fan of the way it's just kind of come out of nowhere.
I actually kind of like it. I like it because it devotes the whole episode to it. Right? It's not like it just does it quickly. Right? It's like, no, we're going to take the episode here. It presents him with this emotional problem that we don't quite understand. He's talking about this guy. Earl, yeah. I'm like, do we know this Earl? I don't think we do. And he's like, who's this Earl? And it's someone who died. And we get this quick flashback of Black Lightning finding him just hanging from the basketball net. And it's like, okay, all right. So this guy died in the school, and he's here to demand answers from Jefferson because he thinks he knows about how he died and who killed him and so on. And he's very, he's talking to the ghosts that he's been talking to since the last time we saw him. And they're kind of like, Letitia's trying to stop him from killing anyone, but the other doesn't. And he ends up shooting Jefferson in the shoulder, actually.
Yeah.
Which I liked him using his powers to cauterize the wound. He's like, oh, just quickly close this up, so I'm not bleeding to death.
Just real subtle.
Yeah. So no, I liked all that, and I liked kind of the focus on it. And it was just kind of this, it was a ball episode essentially. At least this plotline was. Obviously, there was some other things going on, but this was very much just focus on this. Let this play out in the drama of it. And it gets to this point where by the end of the episode, he realizes that because he can't remember what happened to him, right? This is the thing. It's something that he could remember when he was alive, but he's lost this memory through coming back, and it turns out he killed him. Lala himself killed him because he didn't want anyone else to do it. Tobias put the hit on him. He's like, I'll do it because it'll make a statement. But also because he was his friend and he wanted to be the one to do it. And it's like Tobias is the root of all this. He's the root of all problems. So he's determined to kill Tobias at the end. That's kind of he's driving off wanting to do that.
Yeah, and that's what frustrates me a little bit because I like all of this plot in this episode. I like all the stuff between Lala and Jefferson. I really do. It just at the end where it's like, oh, this is all about Tobias and this is the the big climax that we're going to have towards the end of the season. It's like, what? Like, I don't know. It just feels like out of nowhere.
Well, why are you assuming it's the climax?
Well, I mean, okay, we've only got 2 episodes left. This is clearly a big deal coming up, right?
It's part of the climax. I don't think it's going to be the sole climax.
No. But it feels such a strange place to introduce this to me structurally for the season.
I mean, Lala has been well. Season 1 had a lot of Lala. We set this stuff up. I kind of like how it just drops us back because I was like, wait, what? Lala's back? What? And I like how it kind of like, it was like halfway through the episode we got this other scene, this flashback of him reforming in this pool of all this like bugs and water things, and it was really icky. But and I'm like, okay, right, so we're seeing glimpses of what this process is, and he keeps coming back, and like. I don't know. I was really interested in this story in this episode, and I think we learned from season 1 that the show is not really that concerned with having neat season structures. Because season one ended like it had some season finale kind of feelings to it, but it was mostly just come back for the next episode next season. That's the next part.
Yeah, frustrates me though because even like really serialized TV. Still has season finales, right? Still treats them as
most
such.
do, yeah.
I
think there's some examples where they don't really do a good job of it, but
sure. But typically, I would consider that a failing rather than a choice.
Yeah. Well, see, here it does feel like a choice, though.
It does feel like a choice. I just don't like it.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like they don't know what they're doing. This just feels like they're choosing to have all the little arcs be the little arcs. And then at the end of the season, it's just, no, come back next year. We'll see. I mean, maybe we're wrong. Maybe this last 2 will feel like an action-packed 2-part finale to the season.
It might do, given that it is a 2-part ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was something I didn't like last season. And it just setting up this whole new element 3 episodes from the end. I mean, new element for this season, this plot. It doesn't sit well for me personally.
It hasn't bugged me as much as it bugs you. Like for me, if it's good, it's good, and I'm just kind of enjoying it. I don't get held up on at least this element of the structure. Obviously,
it just feels like in a 2-hour movie, right? We're doing all this stuff, and then 15 minutes from the end, you introduce this new you introduce this new element from the previous movie, and it's like, surprise! This is gonna be a big deal now.
But that can work, and it's not even a fair comparison because as a TV show, this gets a whole episode to really give it time to set up, and that's why I think it works because it does give it the whole episode.
Fair enough.
And then Lynn is basically booted off helping the Wendy girl use her powers because she's been too humane.
Yeah. Don't treat them like people.
And Bill Duke's not happy, so she's dealing with that. I'm loving the hype for the suit, like Jennifer like helping design it and be like, no, do this to make it look like that. And
cool if we hadn't seen it already, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if we hadn't seen the photo, yeah, because I like how we get to see like a prototype of it before it has the colors and before it has the final touches. We just see like a sort of like under skeleton of it. But I did laugh when she says, "Hey Gamby, something like this," and it's like a pop star with like a fur like throw over her shoulders, and I'm like, what are you even expecting this to be?
No.
And then
it's a fashion statement.
The original Goofy Black Lightning outfit was also pretty funny. It
was
the classic comics outfit.
A nice touch.
That was a good job.
It was a little bit forced Easter eggy. But I mean, I'll let it slide.
I think it worked in the sense that it feels like the sort of thing. Yeah, let's embarrass your dad for a second here. This is what he used to wear, and because we're talking about outfits, it felt, and it felt natural enough in the conversation to get to it. But
I'm with you.
So yeah, she's pissed, excited about that, and she kind of learns. She has a bit of an accident in a little ball thing at the end where she almost sets herself on fire.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, the suit should be safe. Yes, it's not just about style.
yeah,
Um, I did like she was having fun though before that moment. Like she's in the ball and she's doing like all these little dance moves, like,
yeah, yeah.
and
No,
Gambi's
I'm with
kind
you.
of going along with it. Like I like that she likes that she's got these powers.
Mm. No, that's true. It's nice to have fun with it.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I liked about the Flash early on is that he seemed to love the fact that he had the power. It wasn't just always this burden. It was like, oh, I've got power and all this
Yeah,
responsibility. Like, yeah, there was some fun to it. So that's going on, and then we have Nissa looking for Grace,
yeah.
who's
Not feeling this plot.
who's shape shifting. Uh, yeah,
Feels a bit tedious. Just okay, we've got to go through this.
here's the thing. I like Nissa. I like Grace. I feel my problem with this plot line is not so much that I don't like, because where it ends up is probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that the investigation has literally just been, she might be at this address. Oh, she's at this
Gambi
address.
googled some stuff.
Yes, like there was no like mystery all along the way. It was just you immediately found her.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels
It, like I said,
weird.
it feels really tedious just going through the motions of, yeah, well, we got to do it, haven't we? So let's just get it over and done with.
I feel like the problem with it is that they set it up as a she's missing and she has to find her. It could have just been she leaves for a bit and comes back and she catches her, in a shape shifting or
Yeah, they wrote
whatever.
themselves into a corner, didn't they?
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, luckily, it doesn't seem like the sort of plot is ever going to get the full episode to devote to it. It feels like it's always just going to be like a B or C plot.
Yeah.
So they don't have to let it bog down the episode because it is probably the weakest plot of the episode.
Yeah.
This one. So,
Yeah.
but no, I liked the Lala stuff and I liked everything else. Also, I did. There was one brief little subplot with what's his face, Detective
Oh,
Henderson,
Henderson, yeah.
where Gambi traces some financials like, oh, this guy Todd, I think he might be involved. So Henderson's all excited. He's really going to get this guy Todd, and then in walks the other comes. Oh, we found the body. There was this Todd fellow, and he's like, son of a
Damn it.
bitch. Stupid Tobias killing all the witnesses.
Yeah. How dare he cover his tracks?
I know, but hey, no, I thought it was a solid episode. Like I was like, Black Lightning it's a pretty consistent show.
It is. It is.
Uh, you know, Supergirl might make me nerd out more often. When it hits one of its high points, but the consistency game is not even close. Like,
Oh God, no. Nowhere near.
Black Lightning, even when it has the odd little misstep, it always feels like the overall direction is very like tight. Like they know exactly what they want to do with it, where they're going with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
Very confident.
To a fault, like I say, how sometimes the seasons don't feel like seasons because they're just like, no, we're just doing our thing.
Yeah, it's the next part's the next part, and that's just it. Yeah. But we'll see what they do with the last 2 episodes of the season, which is interesting because that means we get Legends back soon after. So,
Oh, April 1st.
April Fool's Day.
I'm counting down.
April Fool's Day, oh baby.
I'm counting down for my Legend. Now let's see. Legends is one I feel like I can safely watch after Doom Patrol and not feel like I'm coming down.
Still might not be the right move though. It might still be better to watch Legends first. Like, you can build up. You start with your Flash and your Arrows, and you go to your Supergirl and your Black Lightnings, which are in that tier, and then you go up another tier, and you're at Legends.
the God tier.
The Bebo tier. Don't you dare.
So I'm just thinking of the typical chart.
Yes. So that takes us on to the final TV show that we watched for this show this week, and that was The Flash, which is season 5, episode 15. It's called King Shark versus Gorilla God. I'm not gonna lie. I almost said King Shark versus Godzilla there
I get it.
because it's a very Godzilla movie title.
It's
So here's the thing. That is a fantastic title. I was excited for King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd, and There were parts of the fight that were okay, and it's a bit cliched, the idea that King Shark is cured, he's human again, but he makes the choice to become King Shark again, because then he can fight Gorilla Grodd. It's Hulk at the end of Incredible Hulk. I can take on the Abomination if I actually become the Hulk, right?
Yeah.
It's that kind of moment. Unfortunately, the kind of romance that he's got with this woman who we really weren't sure if we were supposed to know already, because the way they addressed it, like
Did we
we'd
ever
met her
figure it
before.
out?
I don't think we have met her before. I don't think so. But they really played it like we had. And where's Ralph in this episode? I don't know. I mean, Joe's back. That's nice. Joe was
Yeah.
with Wally, soul searching. But, yeah, so they're trying to use the cure on King Shark. They want his permission to do it. Barry's a dick, and when it looks like he's about to eat Cisco, he just gives it to him anyway. So Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry have this fight about whether he was intending to the entire time. Blah 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 blah. He apologizes eventually. It's actually Barry who learns a lesson this episode, not Nora. So that makes a change. But like father like daughter.
Yeah.
So, I mean that was so yeah. Eventually they fight, and the CG is like obviously Flash's CG for Grodd and King Shark has never been perfect, but I've typically been fairly impressed with it for what it is.
Yeah, I feel like they were smarter before, where they used to hide, use some shadows. They played to their strengths. Here they just went, screw it, it'll do.
At the same time, though, I actually have to give them credit that they had the balls to have a CG monster versus a CG monster, and actually have it be a proper fight scene that lasted like a minute on network TV. I actually commend the audacity of doing that.
Oh, for the record,
Yes.
I went onto IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
I checked. This is her first episode.
Okay, that's fine. Because, I mean, obviously sometimes characters already know characters that we've not met before, but it's just the way it played felt
Because this was like, this is King Shark is from Earth 2, but the Earth 1 version, this was his wife, but he died, and now we have the Earth 2 version, and they fell in love. What?
Well, I don't think Earth 1 was ever King Shark.
No, but so the Earth 1 version died.
Yes.
So she's a widow. Earth 2 version of her husband shows up and is King Shark, and she falls in love with him anyway. Did I get that right?
Kind of, yes. And one of the problems of this episode, actually, is that we have so many scenes of these two characters having kind of their awkward romance, and it takes a lot of the screen time up of the episode. It's like, these are two minor characters that are not going to be back after this episode. Well, probably not, anyway. Yeah. Like, you know, Lila's around to let them out of King Shark, and there's other things going on.
Yeah. I think structurally, this episode actually ruins itself.
Yeah, it does that weird, because obviously some episodes of TV do that thing at the start where they'll show you a scene from later on and say 18 hours earlier or whatever.
Yeah.
For some reason, though, like, they did it with this episode, and it felt like all it did was spoil where the plot was going.
Yeah, because let's assume you don't know the title of this episode, because lots of people don't know that going in, right?
Yes.
Because they don't necessarily check the title on the TV guide, they just put it on. So assuming you don't know that, you go into this episode and take out that opening scene. You go into this, you got King Shark, and there's something going on, and it's like, and then it finally comes down, and you're like, oh, it's Grodd, right? Whereas this opens with them fighting, and you're just like, and the whole time, whenever anything starts going weird, you're like, oh, okay, Grodd's there.
Yeah, because King Shark gets this psychic kind of like his mind does a weird thing and don't know what it is. And we immediately, it was Grodd. Grodd like give him a psychic jolt or whatever. He's trying to invade his brain because it turns out he can't actually read or control King Shark because King Shark's not all human.
He's too sharky.
He's too sharky, yes. To put it lightly. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but we knew Grodd was going to be here, so we just immediately said that's what it was. There was no mystery to it.
Yeah, and we would have said that anyway because we knew what the episode was.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't hold it against it for that.
But the problem is that the characters are all going, oh, what's going on then? Why did that happen? And I'm like, this is tedious because we know.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. And it's not like Flash's dialogue or whatever's interesting enough to make it work even with that, you know.
And then you have the moment where Grodd starts affecting Barry, right? Where you see a couple of things, with Cisco and Caitlin. He starts affecting their, mind controls them. So we're seeing those things happen, right?
Yeah.
To Barry, and it's like immediately we're like, oh, it's Grodd. There's no, oh, what's going on? Again, there's never any moment.
Yeah, because I think Cisco like decks him. He punches him in the
It
face.
does, yeah,
And it's like, oh, I guess that's Grodd. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
So I don't know. We have this weird thing where like there's always seems to be one actor missing from the episode. Uh, was there any Sherlock? I mean, there's a little bit of Sherlock, but not a lot.
There's a bit because he's bonding with the doctor woman.
Yeah, yeah, because he
It's like, hey, I fell in love with the same woman from multiple Earths.
yeah, because she thinks it's weird of falling for the guy from a different Earth, and she's like, well, I've had like 5 different versions of my wife, so
It's like, you're fine. Two's nothing.
yeah. So I mean, that was the thing. Yeah, and then the subplot is that Iris is scared to go to her office because that's where Cicada attacked her. Although she doesn't remember that because it never actually happened because they reset the time, of course. But
Yeah.
because she knows about it, and I like that kind of makes me think of Cisco in season 1 with Reverse Flash. Like the idea
Sure.
that something did happen, but then it got reversed and it didn't really happen. So I was like, okay, now that kind of calls back to that. And Joe has to be like the old, good dad, and
Classic Joe Dad speech.
she goes in. What I really thought was funny though is she looks at her phone at the end of the plot when she finally goes in and starts working at her desk, and it's like Cisco and that talking about how the fact that they were working with King Shark and Gorilla Grodd and there was a big fight, and I did laugh when she went, "Oh, I miss King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd." Oh man, like I did laugh at her being annoyed she missed that. But it did make me think, wait a minute, isn't she supposed to be the leader of Team Flash? Like she's meant to be running the team.
No one thought to loop her in.
No one thought to call her and say, "Hey, Iris, we've got a
We've
situation."
got this cure. We're gonna test it on King Shark.
This show, for some reason, is really weird about excluding characters in episodes, especially when it tries to explain why they're not there. And then examples like this where the characters in the episode, but they need them in a subplot, so they just have them be separate. And sometimes it makes more sense than others, depending on who the character is. But that's just, given that she's meant to be the leader, it just felt weird. This and then Cisco being off working on the cure rather than calling him in so they can do his vibe thing. When the entirety of the show up until this point, Cisco's always been called in to do things. But all of a sudden, it's like, no, he can't be called. He's
busy.
That line a few episodes ago when Barry said, no, he's working on the cure. That's more important than stopping this villain from killing everyone. I'm like, what?
Is it really? He can get back to the cure in 2 hours' time.
I don't know. That's been bugging me on this show.
There are a lot of things bugging me on this show.
No Cicada though. Which
there's pros and cons.
Which elevated it to probably above average for the season.
Yeah. Probably.
Because some of the Grodd King Shark stuff was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
There was a couple of funny lines. At the end when Caitlin's making fun of Cisco for eating Swedish fish. She's like, "Oh, you want some grown-up food?" And then Barry walks in and says, "Oh, Swedish fish, I love those."
Yeah.
There's a little chuckle and there.
Yeah. Those bits were alright. It's just a really mediocre episode.
Yes.
And that's frustrating because, you say the title of this episode, and you're like, oh, I'm in for a treat.
I honestly think about it. Is this the first Grodd episode, or even King Shark episode, that wasn't at least a solid fun time? Because I feel like I used to be excited for either of those because they tended to mean good fun. And this, because...
Remember when we had the Gorilla War?
Yeah, that wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was fun.
It was underutilizing its premise, but it at least tried. It was a bit overambitious. This wasn't anywhere near as ambitious as that.
Oh well.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what you're gonna do.
That was the episode though. So that does actually bring us an end to the show, which is this is the part of the show where we pick our favorite episode of the week. Just
Doom Patrol, isn't it?
Doom Patrol.
Even if you exclude episode 2, because that was last week. It's still Doom Patrol by a country mile.
Still Doom Patrol. Out of the rest though,
Black Lightning.
Yeah, Black Lightning, Supergirl, close behind, and then there's a void.
Yeah.
And then I'd say Flash was better than better than Arrow this week.
This week, yeah.
This week it was better. But
I
that's
hate that we have to specify that though,
yeah, but
because
that's not been true for a lot of this season, unfortunately. So
yeah.
it is what it is. Hey ho. So yes, that has been the returning episode of Television for the Multiverse. It'll be back to being weekly, not to worry. We'll be back next week with the next episodes of all these shows, assuming they're all on. We never check before we come on for whatever reason.
No, we did. We checked earlier in the week.
Did we? Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. I'll take your word for it.
They're all on. They're all on for the next at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, Black Lightning is not on for
Well,
3
yeah,
more weeks.
Black Lightning was the only exception.
Yeah.
I think there's a week off where that's not on, and then before Legend starts.
Yeah. So, by all means, of course, let us know what you thought of the episodes this week in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month. You get some stuff early, you get some stuff that's exclusive. You can also check out the Comics from the Multiverse podcast, which is me, Connor, plus Matt, and we talk about the actual DC comics every week, so that's fun as well. As is Elsewhere in the Multiverse, which is me and Connor talking about Marvel comics and other comic books that we've been reading. So if you like that kind of stuff, you can go check that out. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching superhero TV shows and all that jazz. But always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.